there you, and welcome to a gigantic Orky horde that's about to go head-to-head with the Death Korps of Krieg, as we're back once again on our gigantic wall map here. Will the box formation of the Imperial Guard be able to withstand the greenskin tide? Before we start today's battle, just a quick reminder, you too can get your very own Bring the Dakar hoodies available now on the ChaoticPinky store. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, why not join up for the channel membership just down below. But with all that being said, let's get on with the battle. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, and oh boy, I'm really excited for this one. So, the Orcs here are gonna break their way through the Imperial Guard lines here, only they're defended all these little ziggurat-type formations, which are gonna break up and funnel the Orc army into these narrow little passes here. So, hopefully the Imperials can bring their heavy armor here to bear up on the Orcs as they're filtered into these natural choke points. But you can see choppers and storm boys here wasting no time getting stuck right in to the juicy conscripts here. Blood and guts flying through the air at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. The Orcs having a whale of a time, but they are taking heavy losses. 50,000 Imperials, though, are already dead. Actually, the Orcs are hardly taking any losses. What? Sorry, I got them the wrong way around. 60,000 Orcs are dead to 3,000 of the Imperial Guard here. Which, yeah, that's not many for the Orcs so far. However, the Orcs do have Dakar in the background, which they can bring to bear. You can see that artillery, though, raining down into the middle lines here. And the storm boys get flung through the air. Oh, God, I love the artillery in this game. There's something so satisfying about watching 50 people just get flung into the air like that. When I say people, I mean Orcs, of course. Now, we have got a bunch of shovel dudes behind these, the Kriegers with shovels. So hopefully, as our poor old conscript meat shield here gets torn down by the Orcs, the shovels should come up to the front and try and hold that line. But you can see that the Orcs are going for an all-out assault here, trying to outflank the Imperial Guard position. Yeah, and these poor old conscripts not standing much of a chance. The Orcs are just literally rolling over them. Look at how far they've managed to push in, despite having concentrated firepower raining down on their heads. And all that artillery as well is just annihilating the black ranks over here. It's a profound experience here for the Imperial Guard, let's say that. They weren't expecting the Orcs to be able to start mounting these ziggurats as fast as they can. But again, at the end of the day, we've only got conscripts with autoguns, and these are Orcs. They can take quite a few bullets, I would imagine, from an autogun. Last guns, not so much, yeah, but an autogun, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that an autogun round would even pierce an Orc's flesh. You got to imagine that some of the Orcs are so tough now that some of the skin's even like armor itself. Look at this, though, they are taking so many losses trying to push across this, approaching at 300,000 already. So while they are making ground here, the Imperial Guard have got 10x the number of kills, but again, they're on the defense, so that's sort of expected. I think in real warfare, like, the defenders are expected to 3x. It's like one defender killed equals 3 dead attackers. And I think that's the average in, like, real warfare, so if you're ever a general, ladies and gentlemen, in charge of taking over some territory, just remember, you need 3 times the amount of troops per one defender. And speaking of defenders, look at this at the moment. The Imperial Guard barrage just opening up on all these front lines. I absolutely love it. Orcs bringing in reinforcements, trying to outflank an unflankable position here. That's the thing about these box formations for the Imperial Guard. Technically, you can't outflank it. It's just deadly from all sides. That is until you start wearing down part of the side like this. Look at that. The artillery here actually helping out some of the Orcs. Some of the Orcs here able to survive the kinetic explosion blasts that fling them through the air and then end up landing right in the middle of the Imperial Guard lines and just chopping everyone around them. It's the equivalent of Orcs that you used to see who used to sit on the catapults and get flung at castle walls. It's that sort of thing. Anyone ever remember them? The goblin launchers that used to fire little goblins into the air and smash them into the enemy? I love them things so much. But Orcs are making damn good progress, ladies and gents. They've actually managed to beat their way through a lot of these little narrow defenses, and now they're starting to meet the Krieger on the front line here, who should offer them a little bit of a challenge. Again, that artillery raining down. Look at them Orcs going flying through the air. I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of Orcs now coming into this flanking position. Look at all these reinforcements. Yeah, they're definitely not messing around with this one, ladies and gents. But at the end of the day, all they're taking on at the moment on these outer walls is mainly conscripts. It's the Kriegers back here with their artillery position that they're defending that the Orks are really going to have to worry about. Now, we do have a load of Lemon Russies down in the centre. They should be providing that zesty fire support here to the front line. Shame we can't use the sponsors or heavy bolters. Actually, just notice these models don't have the heavy bolters on the side of them. They're almost like the Dornish versions. Right. Let's go over here because I just noticed some of the bodies are starting to build up on the ziggurats now, which means easier pathing access for the Orks. God, look at that artillery hit. 100 Orks scattered into the stratosphere there. I don't know if any of them would survive hitting the floor from there. Oh, damn. There's a lot of Orks. Look at this front line as well. It's so brutal down here. Just everything getting flung which way in that. You're hardly able to tell what's going on. So many Orks are flying through the air. Jesus, man. I love artillery. King of the battlefield here. If you ever need to take out a gigantic horde of enemies, artillery is your best friend, followed by rocket barrages and probably airstrikes. But I don't think that's something we're ever going to get in this game, sadly. I don't think we're ever going to get air vehicles, just because of how the AI works and works out its pathing. It sort of works on a 2D plane, so yeah, the best we're ever going to get really is a model that floats in the air but still has a base on the floor. Look at this! The Orks are trying to go in for the flank on the wall now. This is brave. These are really deadly funnel areas. So you can see each wall is designed to split the attacking army into these little sections here, which allows the defenders to focus that firepower on them. And it's working wonders at the moment. The main Ork army trying to complete its pincer maneuver, but it hasn't quite yet got through the Imperial Guard lines on this side. The conscripts still holding pretty strong. And so here are our shovel warriors. Happy gas mask noises are ensuing at the moment, as they're actually holding the Orks in place here. The Orks haven't been able to advance since they've met the Kriegers here. Them shovels are really, really strong. And it's not that, it's just the will of a Kriegsman. Like, I actually like to put the Kriegsman's, the willingness to die for the Emperor on par with Space Marines, I would say. Like, I think even Space Marines look at the Kriegsmen and go, yeah, you're a loyal servant to the Emperor, no question there. Which is kind of ironic. I'd actually love it. I don't think I've ever seen that sort of interaction in any animation or, 40k media. I'd love to see the Space Marines in awe of the, yeah, sorry. Oh god, I had a little coughing session there. I'd love to see the Space Marines in awe of the Kriegers. I know it wouldn't happen because that's almost damn heresy in the eyes of 40k, but the Space Marines have got to have a little admiration for such a devoted member of society to the Emperor here. Now it looks like the Orky Dakar is starting to have a bit of an effect on the field here, because some of our tanks are looking a little bit worse for wear. So can we actually see any concentrated puffs of smoke in the battlefield? Oh, maybe over here. Or was that an artillery strike? No, it was an artillery strike. Okay. So I can't actually see any proper Ork Dakar yet being brought up to the field, which is kind of interesting. The Orks have definitely got Dakar on their side here today. Oh, it looks like we're starting to get these little gaps in the line at the moment now. We've got to be careful about this. We could end up with the collapse. Although I've got to say, we've built up enough bodies now that the goo has got nowhere else to escape, so as the Orks start pushing into this area, hopefully we'll start filling it up bit by bit. Look, this side over here in particular, almost no Kriegers left on it, and that's really worrying. What is going on here, guys? Okay, we've just got a bunch of Kriegers watching an Ork attack a tank. I'm not going to ask anything about that. Perhaps there's a good reason that the Kriegers are just standing there. Yeah, look at these, the natural funnels here of the walls working wonders. Even the knobs here struggling to get to that front line. Finally, conscript firepower is actually doing something. Well, when it's combined here with the Kriegers' firepower at least. But our line of Kriegers is getting ever thinner over here, and that is really worrying. I've got to say, the conscripts on this side have been holding out really nicely as well, actually. Extracting a high value here out of the Orks. By the way, we're over halfway through the Orc army now. 1.1 million orcs have died here, 1.1 remaining. And that's only to the, 117,000 Imperials that have died? That's a pretty good ratio. I'd be happy if I was the Lord Commander here. My guardsmen are doing well. Sorry, Field Marshal, should I say. Lord Commander makes it sound like they're on the wall. What's it called from Game of Thrones? Oh, is it the Black Wall? No, that's Cyberpunk. Never mind. What's it called? Oh my God, I've completely forgotten what it's called. I'm just going to call it the Wall in the north, because Jon Snow knows nothing. Oh my God, this is what happens when Imperial Guard lines collapse. The marauding orcs start getting stuck in here into the tank section, eagerly wanting to completely eradicate them off the battlefield, and I don't blame them too. That's a nice, swift flanking maneuver. The other side, surprisingly, hasn't collapsed yet. That's still holding strong. But yeah, the orcs now pushing into this, and we can see all the goo has really started to fill up all across the floor here. It's not quite there yet, but we'll get there bit by bit. So yeah, this side, amazingly, still holding really nicely. It must just be a greater... Oh, never mind. The orcs broke through. Yeah, as I was saying that, the orcs broke through the combat line. Absolutely typical timing there for me. I have this uncanny ability to be able to go look at things just as they die. Or like, I'll say, oh, look at this, it's absolutely amazing, and then it dies instantly. Happens to me all the time here. Look at these bodies we've actually built up on this front line now. We've connected the two ziggurats on this side, which is pretty cool. Before anyone says, yeah, I know they're not really ziggurats, but it's the only way I could think of describing them. It's a stepped formation like an Aztec temple, but Aztecs don't exist in the 40k universe. Ziggurats, however, do. Actually, I'd love to see that. Some Imperial Guard army that's like Aztec themed. We've got like stone weapons and stuff like that. Could be quite cool. Yeah, orcs trying to push through these sections. They're still struggling though, thanks to the Kriegers, but they have dominated now that entire corner. Oh my God, they are pouring into the breach. Kriegers have had to come from the front line here to start defending this rear line. And they're holding firm for now, but there's 860,000 orcs left on the field to the 53,000 defenders. Again, these natural funnels on this side doing their job magnificently here. The Kriegers are taking full advantage of the fact that the orcs are getting funneled. And that is just brutality. Let's get down to the other side. Have they actually managed to start pushing through here yet? It doesn't look like it. They've still been taking stupendous losses on this side. But there's no doubt now that the flanks for the Imperial Guard, at least in this open central ground, have broken. The Kriegers in the center line now, getting completely surrounded. And it's a sad sight to see. I don't like seeing the Kriegers surrounded. They love it, however. The Kriegers couldn't be happier that they're surrounded. They get to die a glorious death for the Emperor here. Why wouldn't they be happy? So much firepower just being leveled down. Amazingly as well, we still actually have artillery guns left them in amongst this, which means the Orky Daka hasn't been doing its work here. Let's go. Speaking of, can we actually start seeing them? Okay. I can see puffs of smoke now on this ridge line here. Every now and then. Not many, but every now and then. So I don't know what happened to all the Ork Daka. It might have got blown to bits by the artillery. That is a possibility here. The Orcs are trying to push through these Kriegers, but they're so stubborn. I described the Kriegers as it's like the equivalent of stubbing your toe on a table leg. They're just annoyingly painful to deal with. It's like, oh my God, it's a bunch of humans, but they're not just humans. They're painful humans. That orc, look at that. Oh my God, that's a terrifying sight. The marauding forces of the orcs here, billowing down upon the Imperial Guard lines. And most of the tank brigade now has been taken out. Pretty much all the Imperial Guard artillery has now fallen. And there's still 700,000 orcs left. And that's terrifying. Because that means that the Kriegers now are going to have to deal with these orcs the good old-fashioned way. We do still have a few Kriegers with shovels thrown into the mix in here, so hopefully they'll provide them valuable seconds for the defenders to keep on laying down that covering fire. But the mirthless approach here of the orcs has carried them forward. Just look at this entire center area now. It is completely covered in goo. There's absolutely no question about it anymore. It's how deep is this? Okay, it's at least ankle deep here. We can see the Kriegers getting all the boots wet. Okay, so what I want to do very quickly here, just very quickly, while we wait for the rest of the Ork horde to filter in, we're going to hit a tiny little time-lapse camera here, and we'll be back in a second. There we go, the Orks now have managed to close that gap and have now approached the base here of the first wall. The bodies are starting to build up real nicely here. The Imperials so far taken out about 200,000 Orks in this assault. So this really could come down to the wire. There's only 31,000 defenders remaining here, but they're pretty much all Kriegsmen from this point on. And that is going to make a huge difference to this battle line. Oh my god, look at that. The terrified sight of Orks marauding across the field here. Is really starting to pile up these bodies at the main entrances, though. That's a little bit worrying. The more corpses that are built up, the easier it is for the Orks to path in. And that means we start losing our advantage of narrow walkways here in which to funnel our firepower into. So we're already down below 30,000 now. Can we hold out? Are the Imperials going to be able to do this? How the heck is this artillery gun still alive? That's absolutely insane. Like, normally the artillery dies so fast in this game, it's unbelievable. Which is a little bit sad. I wish it had a little bit more HP and could survive a bit more, but it is what it is. So we can see a couple of the Ork Dackers now being pulled up to the side. And again, a lot more of it on the hills in the background there. God, look at how many Orks are still filtering through. Oh my god, this is going to be, this is going to be terrifying. This is going to be a hard fight here for the Imperials. The Orks are just going to have to grind this one out, I think. Quite literally, actually. Because there's nothing else they can do. They're not outflanking him at the moment. I think the most successful parts are going to be the Orks who come up to the very top of the plateau up here. They're going to be able to pincer maneuver the Imperials a little bit there, but not too much. Again, look, these staged levels of firepower are just so powerful here, allowing the Imperials to extract maximum amount of kill power over the Orky forces. And the Orks are just going to have to grind it through. Like I said, they're just going to have to build up enough bodies here to be able to work it through. And with that, let's hit that time-lapse camera once again. Very sorry. And let's see these bodies build up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're coming down to the wire here. The Orks have finally started marauding all over the Imperial Guard for positions here. And this pincer maneuver has been absolutely brilliant. So many of the Imperial Guard have been cut down. Don't get me wrong though, these Kriegers have put up a damn good resistance here. Look, there's only 200,000 Orks left. We started this with some 700,000. That means that the 30,000 defenders have killed so many Orks all by themselves. And that's just the natural point of this. The whole point of this wall is that it just breaks up attacker armies, meaning that they have to build up these insane body piles to be able to advance. And then once they built up a body pile in the next area, the next ramp is sort of offset, so they have to build up a brand new corpse pile to start getting over that one. And it does make for some really nice looking terrain here. Look at that. The Ork army. Or just getting ground down, basically. We should start calling them beef, because they're getting ground down. Only 7,000 Imperials remain, though. I don't think they're going to be able to kill 100 and almost 80,000 of the Orks here. I mean, unless some miracle of the Emperor happens, they're definitely going to need that. I think the Orks have pretty much got this one out of the bag, but that was a hell of a cost. But, you know, the Orks don't really care. They've been shedding mushrooms the entire evening while they're walking around here. God, so many. I love all this goo as well. I mean, we can't even see the floor anymore because of all the Orks, which is a little bit sad. I'd like to be able to see our Kulaks. Oh, we've got one over here, though. Look at this. We've made a brand new one, and it's even got a Krieger in it. Are you enjoying yourself, sir? Is this a happy little day? I mean, I don't know why the Orcs are completely ignoring you. You're special. But yeah, I mean, this is just painful to watch now. I don't like seeing my poor Kriegers killed like this. I love seeing the Orcs go to war, but I don't like seeing my poor old Kriegers lose. As a fan of the Imperial Guard, it's always painful for me to see the Imperials lose. That Orky Daka, these guys back here have been poking holes in our defense for so long now. It's unbelievable. So what we're coming down to, yep, 3,000. I mean, they still made a damn good go of it. The Orcs are coming down to 150. They've almost killed 30,000 since we spoke to it. 30,000 Orcs have perished. That's ridiculous. Look at this, they're actually almost getting that body pile built up on the second line here to form a completely new ramp. Oh my god. Yeah, there we go. The flowing is free now. They're able to pile over the top of the ramp. Again, the Kriegers with the shovels doing a really good job of holding this, but ladies and gentlemen, I think this one is pretty much a GG here for our poor old Imperial Guard. Like I said, I'm so amazed that they've actually done this well. They were outnumbered ridiculously here. And really, the only main firepower they had were these Kriegers on the back line, the ones with the shovel, and the artillery guns. The rest of them were all Imperial conscripts and Lehman Russes. Now, don't get me wrong, the Lehman Russes is really powerful as long as they got to support, but they weren't placed backwards on the wall, they were out in the open. Terrible blunder there by the Imperials, which has led to a massacre of their tank divisions. So, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what have we learned here? Well, we've learned that the Imperial Guard get absolutely bodied by a bunch of Orcs because they can just simply build up corpses onto your wall. So if you are building an Imperial Guard fortress, make sure your walls are damn high because the Orcs will pile up corpses to get on top of it. And I think pretty much so will Tyranids, Chaos, pretty much anyone you're facing apart from things like Tau or Aldor. But everyone else, yeah, they're more than happy to pile up the corpses at the base of your fortress. So make sure your fortress walls are high. But look at that. A glorious fight that was had here, ladies and gentlemen. And as the last Krieger here begins to fall, he reaches into his pocket and presses his special little red button. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, you wonderful sausages of the internet.